My name is Brunson. I'm 30 years old. I was diagnosed with cancer, all leukemia with a positive Philadelphia chromosome. And it's unique because you don't get it in my age. You usually get it in young patients or older, but not in between. So it made me high risk. I was diagnosed May 2005. I was 21 at the time. I was a senior in college. I ran track and field at the time, unattached, and my goal was to become a professional track and field runner and go to the Olympics. I was scared. I was scared at the time. My mom just found out that I had cancer. It was literally the day before Mother's Day, and I felt bad because it was my mom's Mother's Day, and here she gets the news that I have cancer. The process was going through intensive chemotherapy for 3.5 years, bone biopsies, which they take bone from your hip. It's pretty painful. Spinal tap, so you get chemotherapy pushed through your spinal cord so that they can protect your brain and your spinal fluid. As you know, leukemia is a blood cancer, so it's all over. So I didn't have a stage, it's everywhere. I went through the treatment. I lost all my hair. That was a little bit of a shocker because it literally came out in clumps, and my friend had to convince me to wash my hair, and I could literally feel it sliding down my face. I looked in the mirror and I said, it's gonna be okay. Like, we're gonna go through this, you're gonna go through some bumps and roads, and we got this. Like, I prayed about it. My mom actually, when we found out that I had cancer, my first reaction was, am I gonna die? And I kept saying that to my mom. Am I gonna die? Am I gonna die? Am I gonna die? And she said, stop speaking like that. We're not gonna speak like that anymore. We're gonna pray about it and we're gonna let it go. So we literally prayed about it and I let it go. And I went through my chemo and I got back in shape, got back on the track. I started running again. I wanted to pursue my goal of being in the Olympics. So I went back. I actually became an assistant coach for an AAU track and field team. I started working for Livestrong at the YMCA as a personal trainer, and I was doing good. I remember one day I went to track practice. I was on the track actually, and I fell. And at that moment, I didn't feel good, but I finished up practice. I did my cool down. I was a little dizzy, and it was a little strange. It wasn't my norm. I went home. I told my mom I had fell and I didn't feel good. I started recognizing some of the symptoms I had in the beginning, the first time I had cancer. So I actually called the nurse that helped me the first time I went through treatment. And I told her my signs and my symptoms, and she told me to go to the emergency room. I go to the emergency room, they take a whole bunch of blood and tests and all kind of stuff, and they find nothing. Nothing is wrong. They tell me to go home, they send me home with some painkillers. I remember this is when I really knew something was wrong. I had some pain medicine from my previous treatment, and my hip is killing me to the point I'm literally sliding my leg across the ground. I can't walk my dog, so I'm crawling up the stairs, and I get to my room, and I took some pain medicine thinking it would kill the pain, and it didn't work. After 30 minutes, nothing, and now I'm in excruciating pain, and I call the nurse and I tell her something's wrong. Something's wrong. The labs have come back normal. I know something's wrong. So I asked for a bone biopsy and a spinal tap. The next day I'd come into the office, and she instantly sees me, and I'm in tears because I have to pause at times that I'm walking because I'm grabbing my leg, and I'm in tears. So the next day we go for my bone biopsy and spinal tap, and she says to me, after we do this spinal tap, you're gonna find out in a week if you've relapsed. So I do that spinal tap and the bone biopsy, and they put me to sleep this time, because usually they don't put me to sleep for my bone biopsies or my spinal taps. But I usually listen to gospel music in my ears as I'm doing this. So I remember listening to Pastor William McDowell's Withhold Nothing in my ears as they put me to sleep. So I'm literally listening to this music in my ears, and I'm singing with it. And my mom heard me, but I start worshiping because at this moment I feel that something's I'm about to go through something. I'm about to go through a battle, and I hear this voice, and as I'm worshiping, saying, "Keep worshiping me, keep praising me. I'm gonna get you through. Okay. I'm gonna get you through. Just keep praising, keep worshiping. It's gonna be okay." So I start praising, and I start worshiping, and I start praying, and I start just thanking God in advance for my healing. And so as they wake me up from the bone biopsy and the spinal tap, the nurse says, I've never heard someone worship and pray like you did so passionately. She said it was amazing. And so the next thing, I went home, and the next day they told me, I get a call from the nurse, and she tells me I've relapsed. And this was 3 days short of my 5th anniversary. So 2015, I relapse. I get off the phone with her, I tell my family, and I go outside and I start praying. I honestly start praying, and I say, God, you didn't bring me this far to leave me. You didn't bring me this far to leave me. And I thank you for my healing in advance. And anytime someone asked me if I was sick, I said, no, I just got a bump in the road. I'm not sick. I'm already walking in my healing. I just need to do treatment to continue my healing.
So do you feel like your faith is what led you to be able to go through the journey of having cancer?
Yes, my faith did have a great, humongous part in my journey with cancer. My worship, it always starts in your mind, but I also believe that it starts in your spirit and your soul. And my faith is in God. And my pastor and everyone always tells me, there's nothing bigger than God. So if it has a name, God is bigger than that.
So do you still have cancer?
No, I'm in remission. I'm in remission. I did a bone marrow transplant in 2015. I'm African American, so it's pretty hard to get a complete total match. I had 300% matches to me for my bone transplant, and completely engrafted, which is her cells engrafted into me, so I have her cells now. The unique thing is I used to be B positive, and now I have her blood type, which is O positive. And I did pretty well, and I thank God for everything that I've done so far. My name is Amanda. People call me Panda.
How old are you?
I'm 30 years old, and this is my perspective. This is her perspective.